Today we're going to reflect on SD 51.8 Saleka Sutta, the discourse on self-effacement. M8. Now, Saleka, you have, where does the self come from? Come from sal, which is sang, which can mean self, which can also mean full or right. So, Saleka, self-effacement, means some kind of self-purification, if you like. It means something like scrubbing off impurities. And this is probably a term from the Jains, which the Buddha used so that people have a good idea of his teaching. Good teachers often use words which are already available, and he gives them new meanings, a deeper, broader meaning, something people can relate to. So in other words, this wise teacher uses something familiar, like a bridge, like a packaging, if you like, to teach something new. So people kind of switch from the old way, the wrong way, to the better, to the right way. The Saleka Sutta seems to be a very old sutta because the doctrines are not very systematic. They're just a list of 44 kinds of situation or states of body and mind, but they are presented in different ways. Kind of like Buddha is reminding us what to do in stages. There are lots of introductory notes. You can read them on your own. Within the period of this talk, I will summarize this sutta, give you an introduction to it, hopefully to inspire you to read it for yourself. Now, first of all, these 44 kinds of self-effacement, or methods of self-effacement, if you like, they are sets of familiar teachings. So this is the heart of the sutta, if you like. So if you look at page 79, that is section 12 onwards, you can see the subtitle there, self-effacement. Number 1, self-effacement, Saleka. So these are the 44 methods of self-effacement. You find the first 10 actually refer to the 10 causes of action, kusala kamapata, right? So you have, starting with the 10 wrong actions to be avoided, right? So this is a special case where I go straight into the sutta before I go into introduction, so that we have a good idea what we are talking about, what we are going to study. So of these 44, the first 10 are the kusala, or to be more exact, the akusala kamapata. So here, what are those things that need to be removed? 10 negative things. Now look at the first one. Others may be violent. Here we shall be non-violent. Thus, self-effacement should be cultivated. Right? Now, just look at this one, and the Buddha says there is this bad state, we should cultivate a good state. Okay, now I'm going to show you why this is important. Now, if you look at the next section, number 2, the big subtitle 2 on page 83. Now, if you look at the big subtitle 2, the arising of thoughts, right? And then look at the subheading 13, the passage 13. So here the Buddha is teaching Chunda. It says, Chunda, even the arising of thoughts in wholesome states is of great benefit, I say. What more should be said of verbal and bodily actions done in conformity with it? In other words, in keeping with the Dharma, right? So here, notice what the Buddha is. First, the Buddha teaches these are the 44 negative states to be avoided. just by thinking that you're going to avoid them is a good start. So this is called mental effort, okay? Aspiration, if you like. For example, we aspire to stream winning, right? So do not underestimate this thought. It is a very powerful thought. I mean, it's just like you think something negative, you know, it's going to happen. Right? Here is something positive. So here the Buddha says, just by thinking this good thought, it is a wonderful thing, it's a powerful thing. What more if you act it out, right, through body and speech? And then the same thing repeats, the 44 self-effacements. Look at number 1. The thought or the mind should be made to arise thus. Others may be violent, here we shall be non-violent. So you see the pattern here. First the Buddha says, okay, this is the wrong state, that is violence. So here we reflect, others may be violent, I shall not be violent. And then you go further down, you go to number 3 now, further on page 85. Subtitle 3 near the bottom of the page, moving around and beyond. Okay, so this is like on a horizontal level, moving around and beyond. You go on a journey and then you come to this big rock blocking your way, or there is this swamp or some kind of dangerous place where there are fierce animals. You go around it, okay? So look again at the first part here, section 14. Suppose, Chunda, there were an uneven path, but there is another path that is even. Right here, even also means safe, sama. No? Another path that is even for moving around and beyond that. Or suppose that there were an uneven ford. Ford here is a shallow water, but lots of rocks, okay? But there is another ford that is even. So here is sandy and smooth and very, the water is not so strong. So this another ford that is even for moving around, in this case for crossing and beyond. Even so, Chunda, that for the person who is violent, non-violent is for moving around and beyond it. Okay, let's say we aspire to non-violence, but somehow we forget and then we become violent. Then we start thinking, oh dear, well, what happened here? How can I correct this? How can I stop being violent? How do I go around this violence? Okay, so just thinking that way, reflecting that way, helps you to go around this negative state. This is an example of self-effacement. Now then the next section, you see the big subheading is the benefits. Right, so now because you have done this 3 aspects of training, identify the negative state, aspire to do its opposite, and if the negative state does arise again, find a way around it, then you will rise out of it. So look at section 15. Section 15, the Buddha says, Chunda, just as all unwholesome states lead one to downward states, just as wholesome states lead one to upward states. Right? So here the Buddha is reminding us, you follow the wrong way, you go down. You follow the right way, you go up. The wholesome way brings you upward, happier states. Even so, Chunda, number 1 again, for the person who is violent, non-violent leads to an upward state, right? So if you stop being violent, you become happier, you get out of the difficult state. Sooner or later you do that, maybe at once even. And then section 5, which is the kind of nearing the end already, the way to nirvana, ending of suffering. Surely, Chunda, it is impossible that one who is sunk in the mud would be able to pull out another who is sunk in the mud too, right? I mean, if someone is violent, or if you are violent, you will not be able to help someone get out of violence. Surely, Chunda, it is possible that one who is not sunk into the mud will be able to pull out another who is sunk into the mud. Right, so in other words, you have to be non-violent yourself to pull out, to help someone who is violent. So this is the method of removing suffering, of bringing nirvana into this moment, so to speak. This is what's called the teaching pariyaya, as matter of speaking, right? In other words, how do we attain nirvana of this negative state, right? How do we extinguish it? By getting rid of the violence first inside us, cultivating metta, and many other methods, right? And then the conclusion is the list of all the teachings given us. So I'll read that at the conclusion afterwards. So there you are. We have an idea, a summary, a key, if you like, to the whole sutta now. You can just, if you like, pause this video a while just to reflect on it, and then you're ready, you can come back to this sutta. Now let's look at the sutta itself now, the Saleka Sutta on page 75, the translation, the discourse on self-effacement, M8. Thus have I heard, at one time the Blessed One was residing in Anathapindika's park monastery in Jeta's Grove outside Savatthi. Then the Venerable Mahachunda, having emerged from his evening solitude, approached the Blessed One, saluted him, and sat down at one side. Right, so this we know is in the evening, and the Buddha and the monks would spend quiet time, solitude at dawn and around sunset. So seated thus at one side, the Venerable Mahachunda said to the Blessed One, Bhante, various views arise in the world, that is, in connection with self-views or with the world views. Now, Bhante, does the abandonment or relinquishing of these views occur in a monk at the very beginning when he is wisely attending to his meditation training? So here, Chunda is asking, how do we clear our minds? Can we do this at the start of our meditation? Then the Buddha replies, Chunda, as regard to those various views that arise in the world, that is, in connection with self-views or with world views, wherever they arise, wherever they lie latent, and wherever they assail the mind, this is seen as it really is with right wisdom thus. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Thus there is abandoning of those views. Thus there is the relinquishing of those views. Right? So the Buddha is teaching us, this is the key 3 sentences. Okay? This is a practice of non-self actually on a very simple level. Just remember the 3 sentences that we applied accordingly. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Right? So, what is the Buddha addressing here? He's saying, well, whatever views may arise in your mind, especially before meditation or any time at all, in fact, you look at yourself, say, this is not mine. These views are not yours. This is how you let go of thoughts, in other words. In fact, this sutta is dealing with mental states. So remember, this is the set of 3 teachings on non-self. Now then, the Buddha talks about attaining the 8 attainments, the 4 form jhanas and the 4 formless jhanas. So what the Buddha is saying, clear your mind first. This simple way of clearing, letting go of those thoughts, then you start your meditation. Another way of talking is to overcome the 5 mental hindrances. Now then, the 4 jhanas are mentioned, are defined, section 4, 5, 6, 7, these are the 4 jhanas. And then the 4 formless jhanas are mentioned, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So here you see, in other words, this person clears his mind of views and he goes into meditation, and then he comes out of it. Then he deals with the 44 self-effacement methods. Of course, here is an example of someone who's very advanced in meditation. So this will lead to nirvana, right? So if we are not meditators, or for some reason we can't do deep meditation, it's still all right. We can practice starting from section 12 onwards, the self-effacement teachings. In other words, we can take it on a simple daily level. It's also possible. So you won't attain arahathood, but definitely you will be restrained through moral virtue. And then it helps you with the practice of the 5 precepts. It helps you practice the reflection on impermanence, and we aspire to stream winning. Now then the next section is the self-effacement section, the list of 44 kind of negative states to be overcome. Okay? Section 12, the Buddha says, but here, Chunda, self-effacement should be cultivated by you thus. Right, so this is outside of meditation with the help of your mindfulness or meditation. So others may be violent. Here we shall not be violent. Number 2, others may be destroyers of life. Here, but we shall abstain from destroying life. Others may be takers of the not given, stealing. Here we shall abstain from taking the not given. And then there is a refrain, a line repeating itself, thus self-effacement should be cultivated. So I'm not going to read that to save time. Then, for others may be uncelibate, we shall be celibate. Here, of course, it refers to the monastic or a layperson who has taken up the 3rd precept of celibacy, right? So if you've taken up the celibacy precept, brahmacharya, veramani, sikkhapadang samadhiyami, then you remind yourself, you strengthen yourself by saying this. Number 5, others may be speakers of falsehood or liars. Here we shall abstain from false speech. So these are the 5 precepts, right? Of course, the 5th one is against taking intoxicants. But in place, we have 6, we have 2, 4, 5 more to complete the set of the akusala kamapata, the unwholesome course of actions. So number 6, others may be slanderers. Here, we shall abstain from slander. 7, others may be of harsh speech. Here we shall abstain from harsh speech. 8, others may be idle chatterers. Here we shall abstain from idle chatter. 9, others may be covetous. Here we shall not be covetous. Covetous means desiring what other people have. 10, others may be of a mind of ill will. Here we shall be of a mind of free of ill will. So look at this 10 again. These are the 10 unwholesome causes of action. 1, 2, 3 deal. 1, 2, 3, 4 deal with. 1, 2, 3, 4 deal with the body. All right. Now, what's interesting here is number 1 is violence. So here's physical violence, in other words. Under the normal 5 precepts, you find this is included in the 1st precept. But here, it's kind of separated to show that we should not even be violent. In other words, although we don't destroy life, we don't hurt anyone or any being. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, instead of speech. And then 9 and 10, covetousness and ill will. Now, what's interesting here? This is a new arrangement. Usually, in the traditional 10 unwholesome causes of karma, violence would be in the last 3, right? But here there's a slight rearrangement. So here again, it is a reminder we cannot be dogmatic when you study early Buddhism. Sometimes we have a kind of rearrangement of teachings in terms of practice. Because when you practice violence, non-violence rather, it is not only a mental state, it's also expressed or should not be expressed in action. Then you're keeping your precepts. So it doesn't matter whether we think of this as a mental precept or mental state or a kind of a body precept, because they are interconnected. The whole idea of thinking non-violence is not to be violent. So you see this very interesting rearrangement. Okay. I don't think that there is this kind of arrangement elsewhere. So this sutta is unique in that sense. Every sutta, they have some kind of unique rearrangement of teachings in this way. So it's very interesting when you discover this kind of situation. So do make a note of this, right? So don't feel kind of worried, say, oh dear, something wrong here. Did the Buddha make the mistake in rearranging and turn unwholesome causes of karma? Well, it's flexible. Okay? These are not technical things. They are methods meant to train us to become better. Then, in the next section, are the 10-fold paths. So this deals with the 8-fold path in terms of practice. 11, others may be of wrong views. Here we shall be of right view. Others may be of wrong intentions or wrong thought. Here we shall be of right intentions. 13, others may be of wrong speech. Here we shall be of right speech. 14, others may be of wrong action. Here we shall be of right action. Again here notice 11 and 12 deal with the mind, okay, the mental aspect of the path. And then we come to the speech, this body section, right? Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So 1 and 2 is Panya, wisdom. And then we come to the Sila aspect, 13, avoiding wrong speech, we practice right speech. Now let me summarize. 14, avoiding wrong action, we practice right action. 15, avoiding wrong livelihood, we practice right livelihood. And then comes the third section on samadhi, concentration or meditation. That is 16, 17, 18. Okay? Instead of wrong effort, we practice right effort. Instead of wrong mindfulness, we practice right mindfulness. Then 19 and 20, these are the results of the practicing the path. 9 and 10, when you practice all these 8 limbs correctly, then there is right knowledge. So if you practice them wrongly, then there is wrong knowledge. So here, letting go, overcoming wrong knowledge, we cultivate right knowledge, right understanding. Now this is different from wrong views in the sense that this is the result of everything. Okay. And then 20, others may be of wrong freedom. Here we shall be of right freedom. Here, in other words, the right liberation, not going to some paradise or have some kind of other kind of salvation. Okay? Here we're talking about nirvana. Okay? So these are called the 10 rightness, samatha. Okay? That's the eightfold path with the extra 2, the last 2, forming the 10-fold path is called samatha, rightness. And then you have the next section are the 24 mental states. So this one is the last part, the concluding part. Okay. Now this part are very general. This is probably a very ancient list of defilements that the Buddha. The list of different parts of the list will appear elsewhere, like the Vatupama Sutta and so on. 21, others may be overcome by sloth and torpor. Here we shall be free of sloth and torpor. Right here you can see, this sounds familiar. It has to deal with one of the mental hindrances. Number 22, others may be restless. Here we shall not be restless. 23, others may be doubtful. Here we have crossed over doubts. Number 24, others may be angry. We shall be without anger. Okay, notice 21, 22, 23 is part of the mental hindrances. But then after that, you have some general kind of defilements. So what the Buddha is doing here is just reminding the monks, these are very common behavior. People who show anger, we should overcome anger. Others may be grudging or resentful. We shall not be grudging or resentful. Others may be scornful or contemptuous, looking down on others. We shall not be scornful. Others may be spiteful, malicious, or what we colloquially say, bad-hearted. We shall not be spiteful. Others may be jealous. We shall not be jealous. Others may be miserly, selfish. We shall not be miserly. Others may be fraudulent. We shall not be fraudulent. Here we can say pretending to be something you are not, to get support and admiration and so on. Others may be deceitful. Here we shall not be deceitful. All right, so here the Buddha is saying, don't pretend to be a holy man when you are not. Right? So it's like telling the monks to really keep up their practice. 32. Others may be careless, stubborn, unfeeling. Here we shall not be careless. Others may be arrogant. We shall not be arrogant. Others may be hard to speak to or hard to admonish. Here we shall be easy to speak to. Now you find a good monk is humble. Sometimes, even if you scold a monk, which you should not, of course, the monk is very peaceful and he will say, I'm sorry, and yes, I will not do it again, something like that. Although he's right, he may say that, just to appease you. 35. Others may be bad friends. Here we shall be spiritual friends. Others may be heedless. Here we shall be heedful. Others may be faithless. We shall be faithful. Others may be morally shameless. Here we shall be with moral shame. Others may lack moral fear. Here we shall be with moral fear. Others may lack learning or have little learning. Here we shall have much. We shall be of much learning. So here again you see these are very virtues to be cultivated in daily life. They're very practical teachings here. 41. Others may be lazy. Here we shall exert effort. 42. Others may be unmindful. Here we shall be established in mindfulness. Others may lack wisdom. Here we shall be accomplished in wisdom. And then the last one, number 44. Others may cling to self-views, grasping them tenaciously, have difficulty giving them up. Here we shall not cling to self-views, not grasping them tenaciously, easily giving them up. Thus self-effacement should be cultivated. So there you are. You see, this it's almost like a miscellaneous list, but these are very common defilements or problems that we face in daily life. So the Buddha is saying these are the things. I'm sure we can immediately relate to these. Then in the second part, the Buddha say, okay, now that we know all this list of 44 defilements, now even the thought of say, I want to give this up is helpful, right? Look again, section 13. Chunta, even the arising of thoughts in wholesome states is of great benefit, I say. What more should be said of verbal and bodily actions done in conformity with it? Right? If you think the thought, others may be violent, I shall be non-violent. That's a wonderful start, because with that thought comes speech and action. And this applies to all the other 43 methods of self-effacement, with the other 43 defilements to be got rid of. By thinking, I want to clear away all these negative states. And then next level of practice is you have moving around and beyond So here, if you make the mistake, you fall back because we are still not awakened, we're not strong, so we do make a mistake, and we do commit one of these 44, one or more. So what do? Again, we reflect, how do I get around it? How do I correct it? First, you accept it. You reflect, okay, I've been angry or I've been lazy. How shall I correct this? Then you strengthen yourself further. And when you keep doing this, then you reach the next stage, stage 4, the benefits, the upward states. Page 87, section 15, 1-5. Chunda, just as the unwholesome states lead one to downward states, just as the wholesome states lead one to upward states, right? So if you are negative, go down, the positive will go up. Even so, for one who is violent, non-violent leads to an upward state, right? So violent goes down, non-violent goes up. So in other words, you better yourself by practicing the wholesome opposite of it. And this applies to all the 44. So here what we can do is maybe each day we read one section, right? Because it's quite a long list of states. And then section 5, which is near the conclusion, the way to nirvana. So here the Buddha reminds us, surely, Chunda, it is impossible for one who is sunk in the mud would be able to pull out another who is sunk in the mud too. Surely, Chunda, it is possible that one who is not sunk in the mud will be able to pull out another who is sunk in the mud. So when you're at peace with yourself, then you can help others who are not peaceful, for example. And if you're not angry, then you can help others who are having anger problems. So this applies to all the 44 methods of self-effacement. Then comes the conclusion. So here's like a summary. Section 17, 1-7. Thus, Chunda, the exposition on self-effacement has been shown by me. It is section 12. The exposition on the arising of thought has been shown by me. Section 13. The exposition on the action to be taken has been shown by me. Section 14. The exposition on the upward state has been shown by me. Section 15. The exposition on utter quenching has been shown by me. Section 16. So you can see here a gradual build-up in your practice and strengthening of yourself, purifying yourself. First is identifying what is the problem, and then that is section 12. Then section 13 is mentally aspiring, I'm going to overcome these negative states. And then section 14 is putting that aspiration into action. In the section 15, you see yourself rising out of that problem, you're becoming stronger. And then section 15, you reach this final getting rid of this negative state in due course. Then finally, the sutta closes with the Buddha reminding in his famous statement, Chunda, whatever a teacher should do out of compassion for the good of disciples, for the sake of their welfare, this has been done to you by me. So here the Buddha basically is saying, look, I've done my duty, I've taught you. These, Chunda, are the fruit of trees. These are empty abodes, empty spaces, buildings. Meditate, Chunda. Be not heedless, regret not later. This is our instruction to you. Right? So this is the Buddha's instruction. Remember, when the Buddha says monks, it also refers to us. Many lay people also can meditate. So this is how you overcome all those defilements by way of self-effacement. The Blessed One said this, satisfied, the Venerable Mahachunda rejoiced in the Blessed One's word. You notice here, Nothing is mentioned about anyone getting awakened, becoming arahats, or even stream winners, because this is the kind of teaching it is for us who are unawakened, for us to practice, for us to reflect on. So the Buddha is reminding us, practice. Here are the teachings. I've done my part, so now it's your turn to practice. So this is the method of purifying yourself, body, speech and mind, in all the three states. So do reflect on this sutta, or even a part of it. So let us close with a short reflection. The Buddha's teaching is always there with us when we have the desire to learn, when we want to be a better person, we want to find inner peace. By this reflection, by the power of the three jewels, by all the good we have done, may we be blessed with courage and wisdom and the opportunity to aspire to at least stream winning in this life itself. And by the same token, by the power of the three jewels, may we be well and happy. May we find all the wholesome conditions for us to practice the Dharma and teach the Dharma to others. And also by the power of the three jewels, may our loved ones be well and happy. May our supporters continue to be kind and generous and be well and happy. And our relatives and friends and people who associate with us with kindness to be well and happy. May others who are practicing the Dharma to attain awakening, some level of deep understanding and happiness in this life itself. And by the power of the three jewels, may those who are lost and who have difficulty, may they too find the right way in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.